Hey, and thanks for clicking on Hey, Melissa Crochets. I'm Melissa. In this vlog, we talk about a market recap from May 3rd and 4th, 2025. I show you a new yarn that I found that you can probably find in your area, a crochet-related product that's not crocheting, but it's related, and you're gonna love it. A little bit of, what I've crocheted this week. I can't remember if I have that in there, maybe not. I should edit and then do the intro and the outro, but I don't. And a yarn haul that I did. So that'll be fun. If you like learning about any of those things or hearing about crocheting or knitting from other people, stick around. Subscribe if you'd like to. I'd really appreciate it. I'm close to 400 subscribers now. I've been on YouTube for about a year. So it's been fun. I really enjoy it still, and it's nice to, get the yarn talking out of my system, because my husband can only, nod and smile so much. According to him anyway. So if you like learning or connecting with people or, putting on YouTube vlogs while you're working on things. I heard some people say, or like on other people's channels or on mine, they say like, I put YouTube videos on and I continue to crochet. It's like having a FaceTime with a friend, which I agree with. I do watch a lot of YouTube while I'm crocheting as well. So if any of that interests you, feel free to stick around. I would appreciate it. And I hope you enjoy this video. I will see you during the outro. Something I want to talk about is a new yarn that I found recently, and it is amazing and it works up so well. And thanks to my aunt who gave me all that yarn at the beginning of the year to help me discover this, because I had no idea that it was out there. And I tried to find some comparable items to show you guys, and I think I did find one. So let's talk about it. I'm so excited. So with Joann's closing and stuff, I know a lot of people are, where do I get my yarn? And I know Hirschers is taking over a few things, or maybe one thing, I don't know yet. So I've been keeping, an eye on the internet and stuff like the rest of us. So with that being said, my aunt had given me a yarn that was Mainstay, so Walmart brand Velvet. I made a pig out of it. It was this pig here. I'll put a photo in. The pattern's by Old Soul Factory. I love Tara T's channel here on YouTube, and it worked up so nice with my plastic hooks. I use Prim Ergonomics, and I'm assuming with a metal hook it would be even better. So I loved it so much, and then I searched online for it, and there was no record of it on Google or on their website. I couldn't find it, and I was like, that is so weird. So maybe it was the wrong ball band on it, because I got it from my aunt, and who knows, right? So couldn't find it, and then I was in the city and I had to get safety pins, because safety pins are what I use to attach the price tags on my animals plushies, because I find the strings fall off when you put them in those big moving bags. And I like to have the things individually priced, unless it's, in a little bucket that says $15 turtles, for example. So I was getting the safety pins, then I was like, you know what, while I'm here, I'm just gonna check for that yarn. And they had some. It is so nice. So this is Mainstay's Velvet yarn, and I did find some now in our small town at Walmart. They're on an end cap in like those white bucket type thing, cardboard bucket things they have, like end caps, and they had so many nice colors, but I still can't find it online. If I do find it online, I'll put a little screenshot up here if it's now available for some weird reason. But they had so many nice colors. There was like a really pretty orange, the color that I was most attracted to, and oh my goodness, it was so beautiful. It was like an aqua mist is what I would call it. It was like a misty blue, and or like a sea glass foam color. I don't know, sea foam color. It was so nice. But I was like, you know what, I want to do another pig, and this pink was perfect for it. And then I thought, if I do some more possums, I'll get the gray. I also got a white, but I caked it up and it's somewhere on my shelves and I don't know where I put it. So it's somewhere. I know I got white because that's the first one I bought, and then I bought these two recently. So it's such a nice texture. It's not as much yardage as a Bernat blanket skein. Bernat blanket has 181 meters. These have 114 meters. But these are quite bulky. They're 100% polyester and 300 grams. So they are really nice. And the texture is so nice. So I'll put that one up there. And what I found the most comparable, of course it fell. What I found the most comparable was Chenille Home from Michaels, Loops and Thread brand. The texture is a little bit different. I don't know if this is one of like the crappier textures as of recent, but it does feel nice, so I don't think so. I did, like when I was in Michaels looking for yarn to compare to this one, I was feeling them, and like this felt nicest. There was some of them that felt like that waxy texture that everybody's been talking about, and like, ugh, I can see why you don't like it. It would not crochet very well. Maybe knitting, but not crochet. So these were the most comparable. So I'll compare 2 strands here for you. So as you can see, the thickness is pretty similar. They are really nice. I would have no problem putting these 2 together into like a plushie or animal or whatever. Yeah, it's really nice. So I did get this one on clearance for $7. It wasn't marked as clearance, but I always use price scanners because you never know in Michael's. So I got this for $7, regular like $11.99 in Canada. And yeah, so I would say they're very similar because this is 250 grams and 109 yards. So a little bit smaller of a skein, but very, very comparable. So if you're looking for a new alternative to chenille home at this time, I definitely recommend checking this out if you can find it. Hopefully you can find it online. As I said, I'll try again when I'm editing this video to see if I can find it online for you guys, but it's really, really nice. And I think if we all go and buy it, they're going to keep bringing it in. So go buy some. Because eventually, once my employment terms with my last position run out, then I don't know if I'm still going to get my employee discount at our outlet store type thing, so we'll see. Fingers crossed I do, but you never know. And I still have coworkers over there that would be happy to assist me with it and allow me to use their discount, so that's nice. But you know, I thought, you know, I want to try some new yarns because Bernat Blanket is my go-to, but when I can find things that are like really pretty and feel nice or on clearance, then I'm going to purchase them. I want to talk about the market I had over the weekend. It was on May 3rd and 4th. It was not good, unfortunately. It was more of a red flag drama filled event. I wouldn't say I was the one that caused the drama. I was the one that pointed out the drama and stood up for people because this drove me crazy. So a few videos ago, you may remember me saying, oh, I don't care if there's multiple crochet vendors, 1 or 2 is cool. And I would have been fine with 2, me and somebody else. But at this market, there was about probably 20 vendors, if that, and 5 of us were crochet vendors. 2 of them had like more acrylic items, so like chapstick holders, small keychains. One lady had puppets, which was pretty cool. But then they also had other things on their table that were pretty similar to mine. And then, okay, so let's start with the beginning of the day. So I get there, and the venue is it's pretty cool. It's an old textile factory, actually. So it was like, I think it was clean, you know, like it wasn't like super dusty or anything. And like, the venue was cool. I'll put like a little video clip in here, and then I'll put the photos up that I took from inside the building and stuff. So it was a really cool venue. That part I really liked. That's probably the only part I liked of the weekend. So you get there, you start setting up. You had to see the event organizer for your space because they didn't send out a floor plan, which is fine, whatever, I don't mind. And then, so she's leading me back to my space. We go up the one aisle, and I see a crochet vendor is already set up the day before with the plushies. And I was like, okay, first red flag, whatever, I'll ignore it, it's fine, it's just one person. So there's 2 of us. Cool. And she was using Parfait chunky yarn, so I don't use that. Mine's Bernat Blanket yarn. And so whatever. So she gets me to my space, and then I notice the ladies directly behind me are the ones with the like the puppets and like the chapstick holders made of acrylic and some bucket hats type thing, which I didn't take or whatever. And I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I don't want this to be awkward. I also have crochet items. And they're like, oh, well, what crochet items? And I said, just like plushy animals today. And they were like, oh, okay, well, we don't have any of those. I said, okay, all right, so that's fine. So we'll keep it at that. They said the closest thing they would have were her puppets. And they weren't really similar, but they were cool. I didn't get their business card, otherwise I would have shared a picture with you guys, but it was pretty cool. And so that's fine. I get set up and everything, and I'm basically done my setup. I'm just placing a few last minute items. And then 2 other girls roll in with like half an hour before the event to go. And they start setting up, and I'm not paying attention to them or anything because I'm, you know, doing my own thing. And then I hear the ladies behind me, the ones with the puppets, saying like, oh, you sell exactly what Melissa sells. And I turn around, and they had plushies that were very similar to mine. I mean, like a few different items too, of course, right? And we look at each other, and we're like, you know, eye roll. And they're like, oh, this is so frustrating because why are the 3 of us clumped together? I agree with that. So in the end, there was 5 of us out of 20 crochet vendors. And It's so frustrating. So I went up to the front and I had looked for like the store owner lady because it was like at a store but in a warehouse behind their store, which I knew going into it. I didn't realize it was behind the store. You couldn't see it from the street. I thought maybe they'd have signs up saying like, hey, there's a market today, you know, come on in type thing. There was right before the event, but there was not really any street signs saying like turn here for market. The market is today. The head went up the road that was says like, you know, May 3rd and 4th there's a Mother's Day craft sale at the old textile factory, but there's so many words on it and like little designs that if you're driving past it, you can't pay attention to it. It should have said like today and tomorrow, or like today from whatever, and then changed, you know, the letter sign. It was like one of those big road signs with like letters on it, you know, you switch out. Then they could have changed it that night or the next morning for the Sunday market. But no, it didn't happen. So foot traffic was minimal at best, and the only things I really sold were to other vendors. I may have sold 2 items that weren't to other vendors, but a lot of the people that came through were senior citizens, which is fine. You know, it's fun for them to look around too, but like, you know, they're not my ideal target market, and nobody really was making sales, which really sucks. So I went up to the front to talk to the organizer, store owner lady, and she wasn't there. So I just mentioned to her assistant girl, I had said, when she gets back, could you please send her to booth number 8, which was my spot. Right, she comes a few minutes later, she goes, hi, I heard you have a question. I said, it's not really a question, it's more of a concern. I had said there's 5 crochet vendors here, and when I signed up, I emailed first and said, are you having less than 2 crochet vendors, myself and somebody else? And they said, yeah, we try to like limit things, blah, blah, blah. Right, so I was like, okay, I'll sign up. So I paid $100 to be there per day, so $226 with tax in total. So that part sucked, but you know, I was like, okay, I'm gonna get my feet wet into like, you know, this area and see how it goes. Not very well. So I had said 3 of us are clumped together, right? She's like, oh, I didn't do the floor plan. That was the other girl. And I had said, okay, well, did you not look over the floor plan? Like, because you are the event organizer and like you're gonna be associated with this, right? Because you're the store owner. She's like, okay, well, when she comes over to like collect your door prize and whatever, then you can talk to her about it. I said, okay. So this girl comes over eventually, right? And she goes, hi, I'm here to collect your door prize. And I said, oh, you must have been the one that did the floor plan. And she was like, yeah, I did. Do you have any concerns or any feedback? And I was like, well, there's 3 of us crochet vendors right here. 1, 2, 3, right? And like we're at the end of the row. So people are going to be like, oh, it's all crochet. And then quickly scurry the other way. She's like, oh, well, one of you could like, you know, move to the other side of the room if you wanted to, because there's empty spaces. I'm like, 1, we're all set up. 2, this is your mistake. 3, I would like an apology. And because I was already mad. And if it's standing up for other people and myself, I have no problem doing it. Standing up for just myself alone is a little hard for me, but when other people are involved, somehow I can open my mouth and say something. So whatever, I'm working on it. And she was like, oh, okay, well, when I did the floor plan, I didn't really look at what people were offering. I just looked at their business name. And you're the only business name with the word crochet in it. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? And I see at the corner of my eye, seeing the other girl's jaw like drop, like, what? And she was like, well, you know, like when you're doing a floor plan, you just look at the business name and like, you know, just plot people here and there. And I'm like, no, that's not what you do. I was like, there's only 20 vendors here. You could have easily went back to the Google form that we all filled out to apply to see what we were all offering and cross-reference from that. I was like, you want to bring your computer over here? I can show you how to like make it all in one view so you can see who offers what, right? Because I've done that before for Google Forms and stuff. And she was like, oh no, that's okay. I'll know for next time. And I'm like, okay, well, just so you know, like this is not appropriate. And I said 5 crochet vendors out of 20. People are gonna come here and be like, what is this, a crochet market? Especially with 3 of us clumped together in the corner. She's like, I'm sorry, this was an oversight. I'm like, big time. So she was like, okay, well, if there is any more concerns, let me know. And I'm like, okay, I will. And I said, you'll be receiving an email from me with my suggestions for next time, your red flags for this time. And I will also be posting a review on the Ontario Consignment Vendor Artisan Market Review Facebook page we have. I can't remember the name of it. She goes, oh, is that really necessary? I was like, yeah, because I don't want people to waste their money next time here. And she's like, well, it's only our 3rd market. I'm like, okay, so 3rd time's the charm. What happened here? She was like flustered at this point. And I'm like, I'm sorry, but I'm mad. I paid $100 per day plus tax, so $113 per day to be here, right? And this is just totally gonna ruin sales, and what do you do, right? And she's like, okay, well, do you have your door prize? And I was like, I was gonna give you a $20 loaf cat, but at this point, I'm giving you a $5 gummy bear. She's like, okay, that's still great. I'm like, mm-hmm. So put my little tag on it, and off she went. And then, you know, the day rolls on, and, you know, by 12, like, it started at 10, and then at, like, probably 12 noon, we'd seen 5 people walk in, and that's probably it. So I was, like, texting with my husband. I was like, I don't know what to do about tomorrow, because to get down here is probably, like, $30 worth of fuel in the car, and then I had to pay for my meals and, you know, whatever else I spend type thing. And he was like, honestly, just don't even go tomorrow. Like, pack up your stuff tonight and, like, you know, recoup your time at home and, like, be productive, because you're going to be in a sour mood tomorrow again. And who knows how many other crochet vendors are going to be there tomorrow, because I guess Sunday had a few more vendors. So I was like, okay. So I looked through the Google Doc, because we all had to do, like, a sign up, like, a time slot thing. And I didn't see anybody else with, like, crochet. So I was like, you know, back and forth. In the end, I did not end up going on Sunday. I packed up everything on Saturday. There definitely should have been more expenses put into advertising for this. You could have sent out flyers, you know, put out an email blast to, like, store customers. I'm on their email list, and I don't think I ever got one. So I don't think they did that either. They had one sign out front of their store saying, like, oh, go behind our store to the warehouse and check out our vendors today and tomorrow. That wasn't enough, in my opinion. So I feel like they got our money, and then they did no other work put into it. So I haven't made that review on Facebook yet. I am going to. I haven't sent the email yet, because I'm still trying to calm down. Hopefully after talking about this here on this clip and getting it out of my system, then I'll, you know, be able to do that. But yeah, total waste of time. And then I had said to my husband, Steve, I was like, you know, when I had my old sewing business, there were only certain events that I would do, because I know how well they were planned out and managed and advertised. And I said to him, I was like, well, I guess that's still the case. So I'm just going to stick with their events, and then like the local farmers market type thing. And then, you know, there's like 1 or 2 events per year that I know are really good, and I'll still go to those. I did one of them at Christmas time with my sweaters, so I'm going to keep doing that one. And then, you know, the local farmers market, I would have been so much better going there that day. Live and learn, I guess. So I was out $100 for Sunday, but in my opinion, it was worth it, because I didn't have to spend money on fuel, I didn't have to spend money on a meal type thing, and, you know, I could be at home and be productive that way. So, as I said, live and learn, and that's really all I have to say about that market. And I look forward to this next one, this coming Saturday, May 10th. That is one of the organizers that I was talking about. I know how well advertised and managed and everything it is, and they bring in people, and it's in a rich town, so I'm hoping that some of my larger priced items sell. The good news about the market is I did sell a few items, mainly to other vendors, as I said, but at least I sold a few things. So I sold a fidget worm in the color green. It just worked out that way. It was like a scrap, but it was all green. And then this customer gave me the idea. She was like, you should make more of these in solid green and, like, make pickles, like fidget pickles, because that's funny. And I was like, I should do that. So yesterday when I was at the dollar store, I got more of the hair curlers to do that. And if you're curious what the hair curlers look like, so it's just these things here. I get them at Dollarama here in Canada. They're $4.25 for 12 of them. They do have smaller sizes, but I like the thickest ones, just because then you can, you know, feel better about selling them for $5 each. And people didn't seem to have an issue with the $5. A lot of people gravitated towards them, because I kind of had them at the corner of my booth where you could see them, and people thought they were hilarious. I had quite a few people pick them up and play with them, so that was fun. And if you want to make some, I've been using an 8mm hook and 7 stitches in the round, and then put it in and you're good to go. I then sold another fidget worm. A lady and her grandma were walking by, or girl and her grandma were walking by, and this girl's probably about, I'd say, like 25. And she was like, oh my god, a fidget worm. That's amazing. That'd be so good for my ADHD. And I was like, mine too. So we were talking about ADHD a bit, and she was nice. So she got the one with it was white with the blue and orange speckle. So it's the same one I made the wonky dinosaur out of in the Amigurumi challenge. So she really liked that one. She thought that was cool. So she bought that. So those $5 each. And then somebody bought a $15 possum. I think she was another vendor. And then I sold a pink jellyfish to another vendor. I had them hanging off my basket again, like I did for the farmer's market, and that worked out really well. People seen them and they were playing with them and touching the tentacles and stuff, so it worked out great. I did like my booth setup for this market, even though it was a total poo show. I like my booth setup. I had it's like an 8x10 or 10x10 space. I don't know. I think it might have been 8x10. But since it was like a big warehouse type of space, they just like marked it in tape or chalk on the floor, and you had to stay within your lines, and it worked out perfectly. So, but something I did realize that if I have a space that big, I'm definitely gonna need 2 tables, because it looked a little empty without 2 tables. I did take my small wicker table that I have as like a side table here in the house. I wanted to take that one because it easily fits in the back seat of my car, and I can fit the wooden crates on the bottom shelf of it in the car, so that saves a lot of space. So that's been nice to use. So in total I sold 4 items and the total for all those items was $40. So fidget worms are $5 each, a $15 possum, and a $15 jellyfish. So $40 for those sales. And I spent that, I wouldn't say I spent all of it on other vendors. I did buy a bookmark, a magnetic bookmark, which is pretty cool. So you put the pages in between for my best friend. She loves reading. It says something on it, but I can't repeat it on YouTube. And what else did I buy? I bought myself a pen. It was one of those pens with the silicone beads on it. It's in the living room, so I'm not going to go get it. But it says, "From the bottom of my heart, IDGAF." I don't give a... I'll put a picture of it here. It's pretty cool. I like that pen. And then I think that's all I bought was those 2 items. Maybe something else that I'm forgetting about, but there you have it. So up next, we're going to talk about something that's really cool. And I've been saving my reaction to film for one of my vlogs. I just forgot to do it last week, so we're doing it this week. Recently, I think earlier this year, this company was developed, and you may have heard about it on Creative Grandma's YouTube channel, Glenda and Cody. So they've been talking about this, but I haven't seen anybody else talk about it. It's called Crochet Nation, and it's a newspaper built just for us crocheters, and it's pretty cool. I've leafed through it a little bit, but I didn't actually look at it completely, so I just wanted to talk about it here and just kind of show you like what it has. You can learn a lot on their website. It's done by the Kindness Company, but if you just search Crochet Nation on the interwebs, I'm sure it'll come up. And this is issue number 2. So like inside it says like home and living, so patterns, wearables, amigurumi, and a stitch break, which is inspiration, trivia, and games, which I think will be really fun. So you can see there's color pop mittens, crochet patterns. Let's see how many pages there are. I don't know if it'll have the page count. Doesn't have the page count. Oh, there it does. Yes. So there's 24 pages. There's 24 pages in total. So it's pretty cool. I have issue 2 and 3. Number 4 is on its way. So it's pretty awesome because, there's stories about different makers and designers, a letter from the editor, like a typical newspaper, and it's awesome. And I thought, you know what, I'm going to subscribe to that because this is Happy Mail that comes, once a month or whatever it is. And it's not bad. I think here in Canada, I end up paying close to $10 for 1 issue per month. So you can see there's more patterns. And I thought, you know what, it's worth it. Just to have something fun in my mailbox every month. And oh, here's a yarn maze. You gotta help the yarn find its hook. So it's fun to see different, like the story of different designers and how they come up with things. And there's different coupons and stuff in here too, which is cool for, all the stuff that we enjoy as crocheters. Well, here's a word search. So even if it's just for the patterns or if it's just for the word search, I think it's worth it. And of course, you can pay month by month. You don't have to pay for the whole year. They might have that option, but I just did month by month. So I'm sure you could order 1 issue for yourself and test it out and see if you like it. Oh, see, here's some amigurumi stuff. Oh, and there's a crochet word scramble. That's really fun. I love games like that, like word games. So it's pretty neat to see. Oh, and there's cartoons, which is great. And there is a like letter to the editor guru type thing called Dear Grandma Ange. You can see it there. She's your hook, yarn, and life advisor. So I think this is just so fun and something I really wanted to do. Oh look, here's Creative Grandma. So yeah, that's probably why she was talking about it on her channel. Yeah, that's great. So it's pretty neat to see, and oh, there's different like history and stuff, and I'm sure each issue will be different with different stories, and it's about time somebody developed something like this. Here's some blanket patterns, trivia challenges, Mad Libs, that'll be fun, crochet catastrophes, and a crossword puzzle, which is pretty cool. So that was issue number 2. Let's look at issue number 3. You can see it's not even wrinkled. I just kind of threw it in my closet, and I want to talk about these both at the same time. So on the top again, we have Home and Living, Wearables, Amigurumi, and Stitch Break. So they must be the same each issue, but I'm like obviously going to be different stories and different articles, but the same themes, I would say. Okay, so there's some more amigurumi patterns. There's different like yarn information. Oh, this is fun. This one here is more so like a Reader's Digest style, so it's just different small stories and stuff like that. And I heard somebody online say that, you know, there's different techniques and stuff that they've learned just from this Crochet Nation, whatchamacallit, issue, newspaper, and then they have like a spot the difference. That'll be fun to do. As I mentioned, I love games. Oh, and there's a story about a family who looks like family bonds and crochet hooks, the unexpected way 2 cousins reconnected. So that'll be a really fun read. I love hearing about, you know, how crochet and knitting and any hobby really connects people. Oh, here's some amigurumi cake, like a birthday cake, so that's cool. Oh, we even have a crochet forecast. I'm gonna read mine. I'm an Aries. Okay, so mine is the Snappy Stitcher. My energy level's high, my patience is low, my project count is endless. That is all true, all 3 of those. Aries crocheters don't have time for slow, meticulous projects. They're all about fast stitches, instant gratification, and jumping headfirst into new patterns. They thrive on excitement and rarely crochet the same thing twice. That's basically true. For me anyway. The best project, a quick bulky blanket they'll finish in 1 weekend. That's correct. Biggest struggle, too many whips, too little patience to weave in those ends. That's exactly right. That's hilarious. Okay, and then they have like, did we get your crochet personality right? Let us know. If you want to submit a fun crochet story for our next month, please email us. So that's really cool. I think it's so fun. And here's some more like Reader's Digest type style thing. Oh, here's Grandma Ange again in our lifestyle column. Oh, and more comics. I think these comics will be fun to cut out. Maybe I'll frame them. Oh, and here's a history of wool for the poor, silk for the rich. Silk wars of the 17th century and about, you know, history of things. More word search. Oh, here's another pattern. There's lots of patterns in here. I think each of them has like close to 10. Oh, here's Tony Lipsy, so that's cool that she's in here. We all love TL Yarn Crafts. From Hobby to Empire, the rise of TL Yarn Crafts. I love Tony and her channel. She's such a sweet person. Oh, they have a what is your crochet spirit animal? That's hilarious. Crochet hummingbird is one of them, the spider, the squirrel, the tortoise. And there's a Mad Lib again. And another Mad Lib. And then a crossword puzzle. So I just wanted to talk about this because it's just, I think it's so great. And they also have one for knitting, by the way. So you can see it there. That one is called Knit Nation. I think they're all on the same website. It's done by the Kindness Company. and I believe there's different tabs up top because I looked at it recently that had different magazines and stuff. So far there's crochet and knitting. There might be more. I'll take a look when I'm editing it. If there is more, I'll put it up here on the screen for you. But I just want to talk about that and how cool it is, and you know, why did it take so long for somebody to start this? It's so cool. So I'm excited to do like the word puzzles and stuff, and you know, I think maybe once I do the personality test and something, that's something I can add each month to some of these videos, just because why not? I think it's fun. And if you end up getting these and you do that, let me know what your crochet personality is, or like the Mad Libs and stuff you come up with, because I love hearing those type of things. Yeah, I thought I just really wanted to show you guys this and how cool it is. So I'm sorry if that was a bit boring for you, but you can always fast forward through this part. I tell you that now at the end of this clip, but you could have fast forwarded through that part, no problem. Something I'm trying to figure out on YouTube is how to add the different chapters, because I watch other people's videos and they have like, for 5 minutes they're talking about, you know, crochet, and then the next 5 minutes they're talking about YouTube videos. The next 3 minutes they're talking about knitting. So I'm trying to figure that out on YouTube. I don't know if you have to have a certain number of subscribers or watch hours in order to get that. I need to figure that out. I haven't even Googled it or anything. I want to start doing that just because of these videos. If I'm going to do like a vlog style, like throughout the week, and you know, different clips with different subjects, I want to be able to figure that out. So hopefully I can get it done with this one, and then if you're not interested in the newspaper things, you can just skip to the next segment. So that's all I have to say about those. If you love crocheting and knitting, check out Crochet Nation and Knit Nation. The next thing I want to talk about is a yarn haul that I purchased from Facebook Marketplace. My husband and I were out for a drive, and while he was driving, I was just checking Marketplace like I do, and that came up, and she asked me to come that day, and I was like, I'm sorry, we're like 2 hours away from where you are. I'll come tomorrow 100%, currently unemployed, so I have the time. I just noticed this one is a little disconnected, but I'll get Steve to fix it, because these things, I hate these cubes. I mean, I love them when they're done, but annoying. Mainly because my floor is unlevel. It's really nothing to do with the cubes. It's an old house and everything leans a bit, so that happens. Ignore that distraction, please. I'll try to do the same. So I had said, okay, I'll come tomorrow, Monday, and get it. So that was yesterday. And yeah, I'm gonna show you exactly what I got from her. But the first thing I got wasn't from her, unrelated. I went to the thrift store first. We have a really small thrift store in our town. And there's never any parking, but there was parking, so I was like, oh, there's parking. So I went in, and I got one skein of brunette baby blanket. Can't remember what it's called, but I think it's like Gray Cloud, or maybe, I don't know. But I'm sure you recognize it. So for $4, I got this. So that's the only thing I got at the thrift store. What I bought from this chickie off of Marketplace were a whole bunch of my least favorite yarn types, Ogos. If you watch my channel, you know how much I hate them. And if you don't know what an Ogo is, it was a Yarn Inspirations spin rate thing, and I was very vocal about this when I was working there as well, how much I hate the Ogos. So they were around for probably about a year, and then discontinued because they suck. Let's put it that way. I think they were fine for like worsted weight yarn, and they would come off the Ogo easily, but when you're working with blanket yarn, it just catches on itself, and it doesn't come off the Ogo very well. So not a fan. So there's a whole bunch of Ogos, and I'm going to show you the different colors. But when I was unboxing / unbagging it last night, she had it in really nice shopping bags. So I just threw it, I emptied the bags into the back of my SUV, and then I took her bags back to her front porch because I didn't want to take them on her, even though I'm sure she would have been fine with it. They were really nice, and I didn't want to do that. So there were a few like partial skeins, so she definitely was doing the same thing that I do and taking all the colors apart. So these are the partials. I've already caked them up just because I had the time last night. So already caked those up, and they were definitely colors that coordinate within these Ogos that I got from her. So this color here, I don't know what color name it is. The Ogos, like the blanket ones, are still on yarnspirations.com, but they're all sold out. I know they keep them on there just for reference for themselves. I wish they would turn it off and just, you know, they could see it, but we couldn't as like customers, but oh well. So this one here, there are 3 of them still intact like this, and then there are 4 not intact. So they're, you know, removed type thing. So what I always end up doing is I take apart the colors. So when I cake these up, the navy will be in one, this color will be in another, and this color will be in another. And I do try, because my Stanwood yarn winder will wind up to 300 grams. So usually I can get like 3 of one color into one cake. So those 3 colors there will all go into one cake for me. So that's helpful. So that will take, you know, that will make the yarn count a little bit higher, because remember earlier this year I did my how much yarn do I have to start the year, like yarn inventory type thing. And then you may remember on the bottom row of my shelf there was one cube that said 15, and it wasn't actually 15, it was actually 3 different ogos. It was actually this brown yarn here that I still use. I've used it up some, but not all. So basically it was 3 ogos, but since I take the colors apart and I was using it for like a smaller project, some of it, it turned into 15 skeins instead of just 3 ogos. So does that make sense? I'm hoping it makes sense. And I explained that okay. So hope you understood what I'm talking about there. Just gonna move those over. And then this next one here, there was no intact skeins of this, or ogos of this, but it's like a green, and a cream, I believe. And so there's 3 of those. So that's a good example there. So there's 3 of them. So this will turn into 15 skeins if I can't get them into 3 skeins. So like the 3 creams I would like to keep on one cake type of thing when I wind it. So like that size of cake there. So we'll see if that happens. Sometimes it can happen on my stand wood, sometimes not, because sometimes it's over 300 grams depending on how these are wound up. And something else I will point out, if I can find a good option here, is none of these colors are, you know, like blended together. Like they're not spray dyed and then quickly changed into the next color. The way the colors are joined is just with a knot. And so if you're working with this and this comes along, it's going to be in your project, you're going to be able to see it. So I don't like the way that they had made these. I wish they did like a spray dye. So like that new brunette blanket patchwork, that's spray dyed. So basically it goes through a machine and 200 yards, whatever, of the skein are dyed a pink, and then they switch the sprayer to like an orange. And I find that so much better than having like knotted yarn, because it's all in one strand. It's just spray dyed. So I do prefer spray dye, but that's a personal opinion. I know spray dye can also be messy sometimes. Sometimes the color bleeds over into the next, you know, bit of color, but I'd rather have that than knots because now I'm gonna have to cut out these knots. And like if I was working with this full skein, I would cut out the knots and then continue like and pray that it lands on a row of single crochet so it's not as noticeable when you connect a new color. So that's that. Hopefully that made sense. In my brain it did. So 2 skeins or ogos of this. It reminds me of like a buoy at the lake, just because of the colors. It's very coastal to me. And then there's 2 of these, and there was, this girl was definitely blonde, she had blonde hair all over these, but it's okay. So there was 2 of these, but what I've already caked up definitely came from these colors. So there probably was 3 of these. And then the last color that I got, I don't know what I'm gonna make with this because it is so fugly. It's so gross. So if you have any ideas of what I can make with this, let me know. Drop them in the comments. I'm thinking a dinosaur would be cute, or I can't think of anything else just because of how ugly it is. So it really reminds me of TVO Kids here in Canada. They had a show called Polka Dot Door, and the main character was Pokeroo, and he kind of had coloring like this. I'll put a picture of him here so you can see what I'm talking about, because if I'm saying this and you're like, what? That's what he looked like. So that's what it reminds me of. So there's 4 skeins of the 4 ogos of this, maybe 3.5, maybe 4.5, I don't know. 3 other ones are not. They're a little tangled, so I'm not gonna pick them up. But so there's 4 of this, and I have no idea what to make with this. I don't want to do a giraffe just because giraffe don't have rainbow dots. Not saying dinosaurs do or anything, but what am I supposed to make with this? I just, honestly, if I can't find anything, I'll put it into the scrap blanket and make it for my husband for his man cave downstairs. You know, that's always an option, but I mean, I would like to use it towards an animal, but I really don't know. So if anybody has any pattern recommendations for yarn I could, like an amigurumi project I could make for this, drop it below. Just give me the name of the pattern or give me an idea of an animal, and then I'll look up a pattern that I like. But I have no idea what I'm gonna make with this. If I think of anything, I'll put like a list up here or something, like a text list. I'll go through my patterns and see if I can find anything that would be remotely okay with this. It's so ugly, but whatever. I do find variegated yarns hard to use on amigurumi projects. I mean, there's certain ones that look good for certain things, of course. But you know, there's so many that are like, what are you supposed to do with this? I just can't. But if you have any thoughts, let me know. I would appreciate that. Sorry to keep rambling about it, but I seen it and I was like, oh God, what am I gonna do with that? So that's what I got in the yarn haul. There was quite a bit. I think there was 16 intact pieces, logos, whatever you want to call it. Or no, 16 in total logos. So that was pretty good for $30. As I said, she was originally asking 20, but I left her 30 because it was worth it. Something funny I will mention, I went through a ride program on the way up there, and before that I went to the thrift store, and then I had the brunette blanket yarn, like that, one piece, in the passenger seat. I went through a ride program, and I know it's called something different in different provinces and states, but basically it's the police checking, see if you've been drinking in the afternoon type thing, and checking your breath, checking your cup holders, see if there's any open alcohol, etc. Right, so I went through the ride program, and I just had my water because I don't really drink that much. So I had my water, and then I had my purse on the passenger seat and that ball of yarn. And the police officer was so funny. It was a man, and he was like, okay, you just have water, your purse, and a ball of brunette blanket yarn. And I looked at him and I was like, how'd you know it was brunette blanket yarn? Because I didn't have the label facing up. I looked just to make sure. He's like, oh, my wife likes to crochet. I was like, that made my day. Thank you so much. It's so funny. So I thought that was cute. I'm sure he went home and told his wife that I was impressed. So I thought that was fun. So that's everything I have for this week. Thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. If you have been questioning my loyalty to the animals I said I was not going to sell, they are up there, my bull dragon and my bat. So I haven't taken them to any markets and I don't plan to. Next week you'll see my market recap for May 10th, this coming Saturday, and 2 days from now, today's Thursday, May 8th. And then the weekend after that, I'm going to do a whole video on the collection I designed for my market in Niagara on the Lake at the end of the month. So there's beach cover-ups, that's what those are, like swimwear cover-ups, and then accessories to go with it. So you'll see exactly what I've been up to for that. I'm very excited and I'm very proud of myself because I did create a spreadsheet to keep myself on track for all of the accessories and cover-ups I want to do, and right now I have, I think, 3 items left. So I'm very excited. I'm ahead of schedule and I'm proud of myself. So I had to give myself a pat on the back each day to, you know, keep myself motivated, and, you know, that's something I'm working on, is giving myself a bit more grace and, you know, praising myself for things. There's a really good quote from Oprah Winfrey. I'll put it up here. I have it saved on my phone. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but that's something that I've been trying to practice more so in my life. So enjoy that quote, and as always, please remember that you are strong, you are beautiful, you are loved, and the world appreciates having you here. I'll see you next week.